So hello everyone. So today we will continue with our last lecture on Angular control flow directive. So in our last video we discussed about what is control flow in Angular and what is the structural directives in Angular and how we can implement it. So there are like three part in this control flow directive. First is ngIf, second is ngFor, third is ngSwitch. So in our last video, we have discussed about ngIf in very depth manner, and we understand how we can use this in our Angular code, right? So guys, I will request you, if you have not watched that lecture, then you can check that video in my last previous session. Okay, so today we will concentrate more on the next topic, that is about ngFor. Okay, and here we will see by implementing how we can implement this ngFor in our Angular application with two example. Okay, so first I will take a very basic list, and second example I will take with a nested for loop, right? Okay, so let's start our lecture. So first understand what is ngFor. So ngFor is nothing but a technique to do a looping. So it is kind of a for loop we use in any other like programming language. But if you want to do the looping concept in Angular, then you have to use star ngFor for that. And this is a structural directive in Angular because it changes the DOM layout by adding or removing the element. Okay. Okay, so let's understand by checking the example, and let's see how we can implement this ngFor in our code. So ngFor is nothing but it is used for the looping purpose over any list or any like array. Okay, so this is my demo component.ts. In this, okay, so first I will show you the basic list. Okay, we will try to loop and we will try to iterate a very basic list. Let's say that I have one users variable. In that I have some element, let's say alpha. Okay, and the second element is, let's say, beta, and the third element we have okay, so let's say that we have a two like element in this user list with alpha and beta. Now I want to iterate this list one by one. Okay, so this is an user array. In this we have two elements, alpha and beta. So I want to iterate this and display this in our template. So this is my demo component.html. In this I want to display as a list. Okay, so for that what we can do, so we can use unordered list. All right, so let me use ul in that, and then we have li. Okay, we can use list, and in this list we can iterate the users array. So to iterate this user array, we have a ngFor syntax you have to use, and in this there is syntax like let, we have to say, and users. Okay, so users is an array which will iterate, and then it will keep each element of this users in an user variable. So basically users in my array, which is defined inside ts file here, and I want to iterate it, then you can use let user of user. So each element of this user will get iterate and get stored in this user variable, right? And also if you want to iterate with their like index, then you can use simply let and I equals to index. So in Angular, this syntax will store the index of each element of this array in I. Okay, so basically, yeah, so concept is same like an array. Like first alpha will be stored in like zero index, and beta will get stored in the first index in an array, right? So similar manner, so this will store the every element index in I. Now I can use interpolation to display all the element. Let's say that I want to display the index also. For that, I'm using I plus 1, because we know that in array index start with 0, but I want to display the list with the first index, so that's why I have added 1 in that. And then I want to display the name. For that, you can use simple user variable, this one. So this users array will iterate one by one and store in user, and here we are displaying the content of the user, like this. Okay, so let me save this. So it compiled. Now we can go to our Chrome directly, and then we can see the output. All right, yeah, so here you can see we are able to see alpha beta in a list. So what it does, it simply iterate through this users array one by one and simply displaying each element. So here we are using ngFor for iterating the element of an array or list. All right, so this is an example with a simple list. Now let's see the second example. In that, we can use like nested list. Okay, so let's say that I have one user nested with the name. Okay, and this is an array, right? And in this array, I have, let's say, with the name alpha. Okay, let's say with the name alpha, and okay, it has a hobby. Okay, so let's put some hobbies. Hobbies as again, this is in array. So let's say the hobbies is of reading. Okay, reading. And second hobby, it can be, let's say, gaming. Okay, so these are the two list of hobbies it has with alpha. All right, now let's say that I have a second object in this. Again, let's say name with beta. All right, and in this, let's say the similar manner, we have a hobbies, and the hobbies is of array, and in this hobby will be, let's say, cooking, and another hobby is, let's say, cycling. All right, so this is like nested list, right? In this nested list of users, we have a two object. First is name alpha, and in this we have a hobbies, another like property, and this is an array again, like this. And now I want to iterate this alpha and beta and their hobbies. So how we can do this? Okay, and how we can display all these values in our HTML. Okay, so for this also we can use ngFor loop. Okay, so in this template we can, okay, so let me write some div. In this div, let's use ngFor. Okay, so ngFor is the tag you have to use for iterating any list or any like nested list object, right? So similar manner, you can use users of users nested. Right, now my user nested is the list. And let me put some like heading. All right, and in this I want to do interpolation and display the username, right? So like this. So user nested has two object. Okay, it has two object, name, and with the alpha name and name with beta. So first I will display, so it will iterate with user. Okay, so users dot name will fetch the name of the first object. Okay, and then it will iterate second time, then it will fetch the name of the second object, that is beta, like that. Now let me add some uh, let's say unordered list in this, and then again I want to add some list to display all these in list. So similar manner you can use again. So for that, again you have to put ng star ngFor. All right, and then you have to do let. And now let's say this is hobby, Hobby of user nested dot what hobbies, right? So we have uh, no users, actually inside user we have, right, hobbies, yeah, like this. So this users has two properties, name and hobby. Okay, in first we are taking the name, and in the second again we are iterating, and then we are because this users dot hobby is an array, right? So for that array we are iterating one by one. So if you see here, hobbies is an array. So what we are doing, we are iterating this hobbies array by using again for loop simply, and then we are displaying here. So for that you can use interpolation again, and then simply you can write hobby. Okay, so like this we can iterate the name and the hobbies of individual uh, person here. Okay, so let me save it. So let's move to our Chrome and let's see. Okay, so now you can see we can iterate. So alpha has two hobbies with the name reading, gaming, and beta user has two hobbies, cooking and cycling. Yeah, so the purpose of this lecture is to show you how we can use ngFor for iterating with the elements in a list. So in the first example, we have seen to iterate a very simple list. In the second example, we have seen to iterate a nested list. Okay, so you can see that we have a two array. First, this user nested is an array. Inside this array we have two object, this the first object and the second object, and this object has two properties, and the second property is again of a array. So how we can iterate it using ng for loop like this, right? Yeah, so guys, I hope you understand this lecture and you got some idea how this ng for loop goes. So basically it shows how you can nest or iterate through ng4 to loop through the child array like hobbies of each user, right? Yeah, so yeah, so like I hope you got the idea about this. So in our next lecture we will discuss about ngSwitch, and then we will see how we can implement this ngSwitch with an example in Angular code. Thank you.